What's going on, everybody? Kareem here from Tribe Tactics, and this is part of a video series we're doing where we are uncovering the episodic marketing framework from top to bottom. So, the episodic marketing framework is what you would use if you want to build your very own original series. Definitely check out the video series from the start if you've missed any of the previous ones. But we're basically unpacking all the elements that go under plan, produce, repurpose, and distribute. So last where we left off was show strategy, which is the first thing you need to get done in the planning stage. Next up, we move on to none other than topics. So topics could be an interesting one, and for the reason why is because we always have to keep a delicate balance between what we enjoy talking about and what we're comfortable talking about, and of course what the market needs. Right? You may have heard this a lot before, where especially like if you're a startup, perhaps that you always have to find what the intersection of like what you're good at and what the market needs, right, and what they're willing to pay you for. So yeah, definitely approach it with that mindset when you think of topics. Think of things that are definitely in demand in your market right now, and today I want to show you what are some examples of how to come up with topics that are in demand in your market. So there's a few mental shortcuts that I wanted to share with you, and hopefully they could give you some insights. The first one is a qualitative mental shortcut, and that's basically thinking of the FAQs that people usually ask you guys as a company, or maybe on an industry level. What are the common, frequently asked questions that people are always asking? And of course, those people have to be decision makers or people that are decision influencers, so that you make sure that you can communicate the relevance of creating a project like that and spending time and money pursuing a show like that, right? Like you have to make sure that the topics are definitely relevant to your persona. And if you want to hear more about selecting your persona, definitely check out the video on show strategy that we've done before this. Excuse me. So basically, for topics, then the first thing that you could do in terms of a mental shortcut is just make a list of all the different FAQs that you believe are pretty, relevant in the industry right now. At the time of this recording, obviously, we're going through COVID. A lot of people are working remotely. This is a hot topic, right now, in terms of like, hey, how is COVID going to affect my business, my life? You could definitely use that and just run with that and see how you could actually embellish on that topic further and make it more relevant to your customers or to your intended audience in that regard. The other thing that you could do is you could use some free tools that could help give you a more quantitative approach towards selecting topics. So a great one that we love is called answerthepublic.com. So check it out, answerthepublic.com. You could use that tool and just type in like one or two keywords, and it would literally give you all the questions, like all the who, what, when, how, why, where, which, right, that people are asking on Google. And you can actually take these, and they're not always perfect, but they are perfect in the sense that they could give you a lot of ideas for what you could start to create content around and base your episode topics on. So that's another tool to keep in mind. If you want to look for a paid tool that is even better, you can check out hrefs.com, just because they go into a lot more detail. Hrefs, SEMrush as well. Both of those tools are great. We personally use Ahrefs. It's a great tool for being able to just understand like the search demand and search volume on different topics. And this actually helps us a lot in terms of like just prioritizing like what topics to talk about and what other topics should maybe not be as prioritized as others. After you figured that out, you also want to start looking at, how many topics are you going to fit into each episode? Are you looking to have, one episode where you go all in on a specific topic, or rather one topic where you go all in on in an episode? Or are you looking to cover maybe 3 to 5 different topics and have those, covered in the episode? So that's another thing to think about. But ultimately, it's always at the intersection of your qualitative insight into the market. So things like, FAQs, as we said, but also just, again, like just any other common questions or any common feedback that you get from the sales team, anything, any internal intel, that exists that could actually help us come up with some of the topics that are inspired by maybe the challenges that customers and prospects are currently having. These are great places to get qualitative insight. And you can always marry that with the quantitative side of things, as I said, using a tool that could help you understand the search demand on different topics, because based on that, you could then either cover topics that are both a qualitative and a quantitative one, or even have a medley of a bunch of topics that you just know intuitively are important to your audience, as well as things that based on data are important. So hopefully that's helpful. What we're going to do next is we're going to keep on going with covering the other subtopics inside the episodic marketing framework. So in the next video, we're going to cover guests, and definitely check that one out, because we're going to talk about now how that now that you've figured out your topics, how do you actually marry that with the guests, and how do you actually find the right guests for your topics and vice versa. So stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next one.